The bank's fraud alert message flashed on my phone screen while I was in the middle of preparing closing arguments for tomorrow's case. $150,000. Transferred out. My stomach dropped as if I'd missed a step going downstairs. I'm Penny, and until 5 minutes ago, I thought I had my life perfectly arranged. The kind of order that comes from 15 years of meticulous planning and calculated decisions. The kind that lets you sleep at night knowing tomorrow won't bring any surprises. Miss Carter. The bank representative's voice crackled through my phone. Are you still there? Yes. My fingers trembled as I pulled up my banking app. When was this transfer made? Yesterday at 3:42 p.m. The funds were moved to an account under the name Lucas Bennett. Lucas. My fiancé. The man who'd spent last night planning our honeymoon while I dozed off on his shoulder. That's impossible, I said, but the words felt hollow. I never authorized. The transfer was authenticated using your security credentials, Miss Carter. The leather of my office chair creaked as I leaned back, my eyes fixed on the framed photo of Lucas and me at his family's summer house. His mother Eleanor's perfectly manicured garden in the background, his father Richard's arm around my shoulder. One big happy family. I need you to freeze the account immediately, I said, my lawyer voice taking over. And I want all transaction records from the past month. Of course, Miss Carter. We'll begin our investigation right away. After hanging up, I called Lucas. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. My phone buzzed with a text from Eleanor. Darling, don't forget dinner tonight. 7 sharp. We're celebrating Richard's new investment venture. I stared at the message until the words blurred. The Bennetts and their endless celebrations, their champagne toasts to success that always seemed just around the corner. How had I never noticed the desperation beneath their polished smiles? Another call to Lucas. Voicemail again. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the prenuptial agreement I'd been drafting. The one I hadn't shown Lucas yet. The one that would have protected my assets, including that $150,000 I'd been saving since my first year of law school. My office phone rang. It was Megan, my best friend from the DA's office. Penny, you need to see this, she said without preamble. I'm sending you a link. It's about the Bennetts. The email notification popped up as she spoke. I clicked the link, and there it was, a local news article about Richard Bennett's investment firm. The words investigation and fraud jumped out at me like neon signs. I closed the browser and reached for my car keys. The Bennetts wanted dinner at 7? Fine. I'd be there. But first, I had some questions for my fiancé. The Bennett estate loomed before me, its perfectly trimmed hedges and manicured lawn a monument to appearances. I gripped my steering wheel, rehearsing the questions I needed answered, but Lucas's car wasn't in the circular driveway. Of course not. Eleanor opened the door before I could knock, champagne flute in hand. Darling, you're early. Come help me finish the table arrangements. I followed her through the marble foyer, past the Ming vases that probably cost more than my annual salary. The dining room sparkled with crystal and silver, elaborate flower arrangements dotting the massive table. Richard's closing a magnificent deal, Eleanor said, adjusting a place card. Australian mining interests. Simply revolutionary. Where's Lucas? I kept my voice steady, casual. Oh, he and Nathan had some last-minute business to handle. They'll join us shortly. She paused, studying my face. Is everything all right, dear? You look tense. Before I could respond, Richard's booming voice filled the room. If it isn't my favorite future daughter-in-law. He swept in, cologne and confidence preceding him. Have you heard about our latest venture? Actually, I did see something interesting today. I met his gaze. An article about your firm. The champagne flute in Eleanor's hand trembled slightly. Richard's smile didn't waver, but something flickered in his eyes. You can't believe everything you read, he said, loosening his tie. Jealous competitors spreading rumors. Nothing more. Eleanor touched my arm. Penny, dear, would you help me in the kitchen? These soufflés are so temperamental. In the kitchen, she busied herself with dishes that didn't need attention. You know how these things go, darling. Business can be so complex. Like transferring money without authorization? The words slipped out before I could stop them. She froze, then slowly turned. I don't know what you mean. $150,000, Eleanor. From my account to Lucas's. Yesterday, the kitchen door swung open. Nathan stumbled in, his designer suit wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. Mom, I need to talk to you about. He stopped short when he saw me. Nathan, Eleanor's voice sharpened. Where's your brother? He's handling something. Nathan's hands shook as he reached for the decanter of whiskey on the counter. Eleanor intercepted him. Not now. Go clean up before dinner. I watched this exchange, pieces clicking into place. The article. The missing money. Nathan's trembling hands. Lucas's absence. I think I said quietly, we all need to have a very different kind of conversation tonight. Richard appeared in the doorway, his phone pressed to his ear. The transfer didn't clear? What do you mean it's frozen? His eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw real fear there. The doorbell rang. Through the foyer windows, I caught a glimpse of familiar faces, police officers in suits, badges glinting in the evening light. Eleanor's champagne flute shattered on the marble floor. I sat across from Lucas in a coffee shop 3 blocks from the police station, watching him stir his untouched latte. The same hands that had stolen my savings now fidgeted with a wooden stirrer, splitting it into tiny pieces. Nathan's gambling debts, he said finally. They were going to kill him, Penny. So you decided to kill my trust instead? His eyes met mine, those same eyes that had once made me believe in fairy tales. Dad's investments went south. Everything's leveraged. The house, the cars. When Nathan came to me. Stop. I pushed my coffee aside. You had choices, Lucas. You could have told me the truth. Could I? His voice cracked. You're all about rules, structure. Your perfect little world where everything fits into neat categories of right and wrong. The barista called out another order, the steam wand screaming. I thought about Eleanor's face when the police arrived, how quickly her sophistication had crumbled into desperate pleading. They're questioning Richard right now, I said. About the firm's finances. Lucas leaned forward. You have to help us. You're a lawyer. There must be something. Like what? Helping you hide more fraud? Lying to investigators. My engagement ring caught the light, mocking me. How long have you been covering for them? Before he could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Megan. Check your email. Found something about Nathan's casino visits. You don't understand family loyalty, Lucas said, his voice hardening. Everything I did was to protect them. And what about protecting me? I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Your mother called me this morning, asking if I could loan them another $50,000. She actually thought. Mom's desperate. We all are. He grabbed my wrist. Just give us time to sort this out. Please. I pulled away, but not before noticing the designer watch on his wrist, new, expensive. Bought with my money? Your father's firm is under federal investigation. Nathan's being questioned about money laundering. And you. I slipped off my engagement ring and placed it on the table. You're still lying to me. Penny, wait. I found the offshore account, Lucas. The one in the Caymans. Want to explain that? His face went pale. Behind him, through the cafe window, I saw Eleanor's Mercedes pull up. She stepped out, perfectly coiffed despite everything, her red-soled shoes clicking on the sidewalk. Mother's here to help with damage control? I asked, reaching for my phone. Good timing. Because I just forwarded some very interesting documents to the FBI. The bell above the door chimed as Eleanor entered, her smile brittle as winter ice. Eleanor's heels clicked across my office floor like a metronome counting down to disaster. She placed a manila envelope on my desk, her manicured nails tapping the surface twice. You're making a terrible mistake, dear, she said, settling into the chair across from me. Family protects family. I'm not family. I left the envelope untouched. And I'm done being manipulated. No, she tilted her head. Then why did Lucas give you access to those offshore accounts last month? My hand froze over my coffee mug. What? Your signature is all over the transfer documents. Digital signatures, but still. She smiled, all teeth and threat. Richard may be facing charges, but you're implicated too. My phone buzzed, Megan again. I ignored it, focusing on Eleanor's perfect composure, searching for cracks. You forged my signatures. Prove it. She opened the envelope, spreading papers across my desk. Your law firm's reputation, your career, everything you've built. Are you ready to lose it all over principle? Another buzz. Then another. I glanced at my phone. 3 missed calls from Lucas, 2 from Nathan. A text from an unknown number. Need to talk about the Bennetts. Vanessa, what do you want? I asked Eleanor. Drop the FBI tip. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. She leaned forward. Help us fix this and everyone wins. My office door opened. Megan stood there, face grim. Penny, turn on the news. Now. I reached for my remote. The screen flickered to life. Richard Bennett in handcuffs, being led from his office. The crawler beneath showed numbers, millions missing, investors ruined, lives destroyed. Mother. Lucas appeared in my doorway, tie loose, face ashen. They're freezing everything. All the accounts. Eleanor's composure cracked. Even everything. I watched them, these people who'd almost become my family, their carefully constructed world crumbling. My phone buzzed again. That unknown number. You should take that, Eleanor said quietly. Vanessa always did have impeccable timing. I stared at her. You know, everyone's secrets eventually come out, dear. She stood, smoothing her skirt. The question is, whose secrets will destroy more lives? Lucas moved toward my desk. Penny, please. Don't. I held up my hand, remembering his new watch, the offshore accounts, the forged signatures. Just don't. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Megan. Found proof of who really accessed your accounts. You need to see this. I looked at the Bennetts, Eleanor's calculated calm, Lucas's desperate eyes, and made my decision. Sometimes burning bridges lights the way forward. Get out, I said, reaching for my phone. All of you. The cafe where I met Vanessa was nothing like the Bennetts' usual haunts, no crystal chandeliers or imported marble. Just cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tasted like regret. She stirred her untouched cup, her red nails chipped and worn, so different from Eleanor's perfect manicure. They did the same thing to me 5 years ago, she said, sliding a worn leather portfolio across the table. Different scheme, same players. Inside were bank statements, letters, photos, a paper trail of destruction. My hands trembled as I recognized Eleanor's signature style, the careful manipulation, the gradual isolation of targets. Lucas knew. My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Lucas orchestrated it. Vanessa's laugh was bitter as black coffee. He's the architect, Penny. Eleanor provides the charm, Richard the connections, Nathan the convenient excuse. But Lucas? He plans everything. My phone lit up with his name again. 7th call today. There's more, Vanessa said, pulling out another envelope. Remember the Cayman transfers? Look at the dates. The timestamps showed transfers going back 3 years, long before I'd met Lucas. My name appeared on documents I'd never seen, my signature forged with practiced precision. They're setting you up as the fall guy, she said quietly. Just like they did with me. The cafe door chimed. Nathan stumbled in, looking worse than at the family dinner. His eyes found us, widened with recognition. You shouldn't be here, he slurred, gripping the back of an empty chair. Lucas is going to. Going to what? I stood, anger finally overtaking shock. Steal more of my money? Forge more signatures. You don't understand, Nathan's voice cracked. He's not who you think. Neither are you. Vanessa's words cut like ice. Tell her about Monaco, Nathan. Tell her what happened to the last person who threatened to expose your family. Nathan's face went ash-white. He backed away, nearly knocking over a waitress. My phone buzzed again. Megan, this time, FBI wants to meet. They have questions about your involvement. They'll destroy you, Vanessa said, watching Nathan flee. Unless you destroy them first. I looked down at the evidence spread before me, the elaborate web of lies, the carefully constructed trap I'd walked into. Everything I'd believed about Lucas, about our future, was as fake as the signatures on those documents. Why are you helping me? I asked Vanessa. She gathered the papers, her movements deliberate. Because someone finally needs to break the Bennett family's pattern. And you. She met my eyes. You're angry enough to do it. My phone lit up one last time, a text from Lucas. I can explain everything. Please don't do anything rash. I smiled, thinking of Eleanor's threats, Richard's handcuffs, Nathan's fear. You're right, I told Vanessa. I am. The Bennett estate looked different in the rain, its grandeur washed away to reveal hairline cracks in the facade. I walked past Eleanor's prized roses, clutching Vanessa's portfolio like a shield, and rang the doorbell. Lucas opened the door. You came. Family meeting, right? That's what you called it. I stepped inside, water dripping onto imported marble. Where's everyone? Study. His hand moved toward my arm but stopped short. Penny, before we go in. Save it. The study door opened to Richard behind his mahogany desk, Eleanor perched beside him like a bird of prey. Nathan slumped in a corner chair, avoiding everyone's eyes. The perfect family tableau, waiting for their latest victim. Darling, Eleanor started, we can explain. I dropped the portfolio on Richard's desk. Documents spilled out, bank statements, forged signatures, offshore accounts. Monaco, I said. Want to tell me about Monaco, Richard? The color drained from his face. Behind me, Lucas inhaled sharply. That's ancient history, Eleanor cut in. Irrelevant. Like Vanessa was irrelevant? I turned to Lucas. Or did you think I wouldn't find out about that either? Nathan stood suddenly. We should tell her. Shut up, Lucas snapped. No. I pulled out my phone, opened my recording app. Let him talk. Eleanor rose, all pretense of warmth gone. Think carefully about what you're doing, Penelope. Your name is on those documents too. Because you put it there. I met her gaze. But here's what you didn't know, I've been recording everything. Every conversation, every threat, every admission. Lucas moved toward me. You're bluffing. Check your brother's phone. I smiled as Nathan paled further. He's been quite chatty lately. Especially about Monaco. Richard slammed his hand on the desk. Enough. You think you can threaten us? We built this family on lies. I played the recording of Nathan's confession from the cafe. Or just theft and forgery? The study door burst open. FBI agents poured in, badges glinting. I stepped back, watching the scene unfold, Richard's protests, Eleanor's composed mask cracking, Nathan's relief. Lucas grabbed my arm. You don't understand what you've done. I understand perfectly. I pulled free. You taught me well. Family protects family, right? As handcuffs clicked shut around his wrists, I saw something I'd never seen before in Lucas's eyes, fear. Miss Carter, an agent called, will need your statement. I walked out of the study, past the family portraits, past the life I'd almost had. My phone buzzed, Vanessa, is it done? I looked back at the Bennett family's empire crumbling behind me. Yes, I typed. It's done. But something in Lucas's eyes haunted me. Maybe Eleanor was right. I didn't understand what I'd done. Not yet. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and desperation. Lucas sat across from me, prison jumpsuit replacing his tailored suits, but his eyes still held that calculating gleam. You don't have the whole story, he said, leaning forward. About Monaco. About Vanessa. I have enough. I placed a manila envelope on the table between us. But you're going to give me the rest. He smiled, that same smile that had once made me believe in forever. And why would I do that? Because Eleanor's being charged tomorrow. The FBI found the real ledgers. The smile vanished. You're lying. Nathan talked. All of it. The offshore accounts, the shell companies, the accidents that happened to anyone who threatened exposure. I slid the envelope toward him, including what really happened to Vanessa's sister in Monaco. His hands clenched. You've been working with her this whole time. No, Lucas. I've been working with the FBI. Vanessa. I let the silence hang. Vanessa's been dead for 6 months. The color drained from his face. That's impossible. I just saw. Her sister. Twin sister. The one who survived your family's last investment opportunity. I pulled out my phone, Showed him the death certificate. She's been playing you, playing all of us, waiting for the right moment. Lucas lunged across the table, but the guards were faster. As they restrained him, papers spilled from the envelope, crime scene photos, bank records. A newspaper clipping about a tragic yacht accident in Monaco. You think you've won? He snarled. You have no idea what you've started. Actually, I do. I stood, gathering the scattered evidence. Your mother confessed everything this morning. About Monaco, about Vanessa, about how you orchestrated all of it. She would never. A mother's love has limits, Lucas. Especially when she discovers her son was planning to frame her for everything. His face contorted. You're just like them. Playing games, manipulating. No. I placed my engagement ring on the table. I'm what you created. You taught me how to destroy someone from the inside out. Consider this my final lesson. As the guards led him away, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Justice served. Thank you, V's sister. I walked out of the prison into bright sunlight, leaving behind the man I'd almost married and the woman I'd almost become. The Bennett family's empire was ashes, their secrets exposed, their power broken. But Lucas was right about one thing: I didn't understand what I'd started. Because revenge, like love, never ends quite the way you expect. The Bennett estate sold at auction on a crisp autumn morning. I watched from my car as strangers carried out Eleanor's precious antiques, Richard's leather-bound books, the family portraits that had witnessed generations of lies. My phone buzzed, a text from Nathan. Thank you. Rehab's working. I'm finally free. Through the wrought iron gates, I spotted Eleanor supervising the removal of her roses. Even now, she maintained her perfect posture, though her designer clothes had been replaced by department store basics. She caught my eye and raised her hand, not quite a wave, not quite a surrender. I drove to the cemetery where a simple headstone read, Vanessa Green, beloved sister. Fresh flowers lay at its base, along with a newspaper clipping about the Bennett family's downfall. A handwritten note fluttered in the breeze. We did it. V. Quite a show you orchestrated, Megan said, appearing beside me. The FBI's still unraveling their schemes. 20 years of fraud, 3 continents, countless victims. And one very patient sister, who disappeared right after the arrests. Megan handed me an envelope. This came for you at the office. Inside was a single photo, Vanessa and her sister on that yacht in Monaco, before everything went wrong. On the back, in familiar handwriting, sometimes revenge is just another word for justice. My phone rang, the prison's number. Lucas, again. I declined the call, remembering his last words in the visiting room. You have no idea what you've started. But he was wrong. I knew exactly what I'd started, the truth. And the truth, once unleashed, had its own kind of revenge. The media's calling it the scandal of the decade, Megan said. Your name's being floated for partner. I pocketed the photo. I'm leaving the firm. What? Opening my own practice, specializing in fraud victims. I smiled at Vanessa's headstone. Someone needs to help people fight back. A sleek black car pulled up to the cemetery gates. Through the tinted windows, I glimpsed a woman who looked exactly like Vanessa. She raised her hand in a subtle salute before the car glided away. Was that, Megan started. Sometimes it's better not to know all the answers. I turned away from the grave. Some secrets deserve to stay buried. My engagement ring sat heavy in my pocket, my last tie to the Bennett legacy. I pulled it out, studying how it caught the light one final time. Then I placed it on Vanessa's headstone, a glittering monument to promises broken and remade. The truth about revenge isn't that it heals you. It's that it transforms you. And sometimes, that transformation is the only justice you need.